I don't know if this is fake news or real news. I think I read on ESPN, so I'm going to trend towards it's real news, but it could be fake news. It feels so fake news, but then obviously everyone's taking a mickey out of it. The photoshoppers all jumped out, and Dylan Brooks is on everyone's lips at the moment, right? That Dylan Brooks, that the Memphis Grizzlies don't want him back. Yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent. They don't want him back. Go sign somewhere else. Effectively, is that the message that they're giving here right now in the media? And I can't think of another time when an organization has been so pointed to say bye bye to a player. It's actually a real sort of unique scenario that's playing out here. That after their first round elimination, when they were favored to obviously win, Dylan Brooks came out, said a whole bunch of trash, I guess, that really turned out trash for him. And here we are now that that the Grizzlies don't want him. And I'm not going to say he's going to go to China. Okay, I think another NBA team will pick him up and give him some money. Maybe not a long-term contract, maybe a 1 year with a team option for a second year or something like that. Okay, but it's just I don't know. I just can't think of another time when a player has been publicly told that we don't want you back.
The name that jumped to mind straight away was Lance Stevenson when he was a part of that Indiana Pacers team, competing against Miami, really trying to jostle for the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals. And obviously had all the antics with LeBron James. And then he ended up going to Charlotte. And I believe it wasn't because they outwardly said, we don't want you. It was more like he felt like he earned more money. So that the reason why I bring that situation up is that Lance Stevenson is probably more famous for blowing into LeBron's ear than he is for anything else in his career, right? And Dylan Brooks, a lot of antics, and that's probably what gets him trending on social media, and that's what gets interest. I think what you're maybe overlooking a little bit, just like we saw with the Bucks and how Mike Budenholzer is no longer the coach, Memphis needs a fall guy. They need a fall guy. And Dylan Brooks brought a lot of attention onto Memphis that perhaps they didn't need. Perhaps Memphis, even though they were second seed, are without Steven Adams, who really underrated loss that clearly impacted them as time went on, without Brandon Clark, and without a healthy Ja Morant after game one. Perhaps they were no longer the favorites after game one, but Dylan Brooks is still talking as if they are and brought a lot of unnecessary attention on them when they had no business to be competitive anymore. That's, I feel, where this whole situation's kind of grown out of is he might be a fantastic perimeter defender. He hurts them offensively from time to time, but he just brings unwarranted attention, right? And Ja Morant's doing enough of that for the team anyway. So I feel like they can't have two guys like that. And you know what? If them blaming Dylan Brooks in 12 months' time ends up Memphis being in a Western Conference final because they grew from the experience and they shed the immaturity, then he ends up being the fall guy for it. So I actually can see totally why this is a thing.
I just don't think the Lance Stevenson situation is comparable. If I recall correctly, well, firstly, the Pacers, I believe, didn't match the offer that was made in that off season, and so obviously he went somewhere else, like you said, and he took more money. And then they actually bought Lance Stevenson back. I believe he had another stint with them, maybe for half a season or a year. Okay, and obviously it was quite, not that successful in that sense. Whereas in this situation, this is like Memphis are saying "F you" to Dylan Brooks. And I don't see Memphis ever bring Dylan Brooks back. Yeah, they would rather sign a G League player than ever give Dylan Brooks another contract in this situation. I think that's the point there. And look, from a Dylan Brooks perspective here, and if you sort of think back, actually, if you even go all the way back to LeBron, when LeBron went to Miami, and then all the fanfare of him signing in that offseason and him proclaiming, not two, not three, not four, not however many times he said how many rings everyone's going to bring Miami, that I think one of the most important aspects of being a high performance athlete here and being successful as a championship winning team is being humble. I don't think any team and player that's gone out there and proclaimed that they're going to go and do all these things that they're going to do and go all the way have actually ever done that.
I just you look at Dennis Rodman as well, very polarizing figure when he was removed from teams. It was always about culture. Memphis hasn't come out and explained their rationale. It's simply just the fact of we don't intend on re-signing Dylan Brooks. I think the subtext is we don't intend on re-signing Dylan Brooks because it's a bad culture fit, and there had been murmurs of those kind of things. And maybe we get the truth, maybe we don't. Um, Dylan Brooks conducts himself very similarly to Draymond Green, right? And talks a lot and feels like he's the glue guy for the team. And whether or not he had an important defensive role or not, the difference between him and Draymond is Draymond has had success, right? When Draymond Green talks trash in a Western Conference playoff series, they win that series every single time. That is just how their legacy has been built, and they have four championships to show
And you
for it.
know this obviously, and I know you're not saying that they're similar players, but they Dylan Brooks would love to be half the player Draymond Green is. That's the reality. Draymond doesn't get the traditional stats, but you look at the plus minus in the box score for Draymond, and he's plus 20 even though he's scoring 5 points in a game. Whereas obviously, Dylan Brooks goes out there, shoots 5 for 15, and then he's like minus 15. That's the reality.
Yes, and I think you look at the impact that he can have, the positives, negatives, however you frame it. It's just a body of work, right? It's the reason why we still like Golden State over the Lakers. There is a body of work there that proves it. And Dylan Brooks, I couldn't tell you what his career stats are. I just know that he's finishing up either his rookie deal or his second deal based off a G League stint. He is just not that caliber player. He has not built the legacy yet to be acting the way that he does. And Memphis has had a flame out, and they've kind of had two flame outs now where if you think back to last season, yes, they lost to the eventual champions, but they could have beaten the champions. Ja Morant misses a game winner in game one, and he eventually goes down injured, but they were there. They were very competitive with Golden State, and you know they've had a down year. A lot of reasons for that. They need a fall guy. It's better him than it is the coach, and I think they can also supplement what he does. Can they not get another wing that just defends and doesn't shoot very well? I feel like there's heaps of those in the league.
This is two guys with spare time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.